If you met me in 2010, I would have told you that I was the director of resident care at a very large nursing home for veterans. I had a 20-plus year career in healthcare, and at the time I had a 3-year-old son and a second child on the way. My career was not what I dreamed of. I don't know how I ended up in seniors care. I was first a recreation therapist. My original dream was to be Julie McCoy on Love Boat, and I've dated myself for a few of you. But I got to make a difference most days, and that was good. Life was good. Then came 2011. People like to say that change is a constant, but for me, 2011 was constant change. At the very end of 2010, my second son was born by emergency C-section right in the middle of Christmas Day. We had just unwrapped the gifts, and I didn't feel too well all of a sudden. We named him Nicholas. In January, Nick was still in hospital, and we found out that he had Down syndrome. That was a life changer. Immediately, my life was filled with medical appointments and therapy visits, and the future was just filled with doubt and fear and uncertainty. Winter turned to spring, as it does, and brought some unexpected news. Baby number 3 was on the way. Great. Keep in mind, Nick is 4 months old at this point. So some quick math showed, that if I went back to work early, I would actually re-qualify for maternity leave come the new year. Some fast planning got daycare set up, extra supports for Nick set up. I returned to work in August, and on my way in the door, I was told my job was eliminated. My new reality was I was a mom. I had a preschooler, a baby with special needs, and a baby on the way, and no job to return to. For a lifelong career person, this was a pause, a big pause for me. All I knew was work. After about a day and a half of denial, fear, anger, tearful resignation, I changed gears from mummy on mat leave to fleet-footed decision maker. I decided I could be angry as long as I wanted to, but that was not getting me a new job that was going to pay my Lower Mainland mortgage. And I had to be honest with myself. The hours of my job were not really going to work with 3 small children. And being really, really honest, I didn't like my job. So perhaps, after all, woven in with some of that anger was actually a bit of relief, even some hope. I've always been one to look for the silver lining in other people's problems, trying to spin it for people, saying, you know, that might be a good thing. Trying to look for your own shiny moment is a lot harder. But there it was, August. It's the most wonderful time of the year, according to Staples. Some more quick math reminded me that I actually prefer a dictionary to a calculator, but also that I was only 4 courses short of my diploma in professional writing. Right, I'd forgotten. I'd been trying to make this career change for 10 years now. So the timing had never seemed right. Everything about this situation seemed so wrong, but maybe this time the timing was right. So back to school I went, baby bump and all. I went to Douglas College. Most of the students there were young enough to actually be my child, much less the child I was carrying. It was a very interesting time. But back to school was far from ordinary. It was not a class and homework routine for me. This was a study of intensity. I was on a timeline. I was having a baby. I needed to get back to work. I needed to pay my mortgage. I needed to balance my schoolwork with maintaining my family I had at home, maintaining it with my own growing belly, and all of Nick's appointments. The sheer drive of my mission surprised many people, but I was actually energized by what was happening because it was happening and it was coming together. Everything I did had a purpose. I decided I wanted a communications job in healthcare. This made sense to me, so I could pull on my past background. I didn't want to go in at ground level. I wanted to go in and already be able to offer something. So I built upon each opportunity and I layered tasks on top of each other to maximize my time. I joined IABC BC. I volunteered to write member profiles. I used those interviews to write profiles that were going to go on the website that were now my writing portfolio. I used those interviews to become information interviews to learn about places I might want to work. I volunteered for more tasks, I connected with more people, I wrote more stories, and I became a writer. And in the middle of it all, I delivered my third baby that January. One of the instructors told me later that he never expected to see me again, but when he received an assignment from me via email at the end of that week, he knew I was the real deal. So it's now 2014, just 2.5 years after hearing, "You don't work here anymore." I am a communications consultant on my second contract with Fraser Health. As Catherine mentioned, I'm a freelance writer. I freelance in the real estate publication world where I get to use adjectives, and it's very exciting. I volunteer in the community as well as on the IABC BC Board of Directors. I have 3 children, and I'm happy to report the third was a little mini-me, albeit a much louder version of myself and with a love of purple party shoes. It's also pretty new for me, and it continues to be a lot of hard work. I don't pretend that it's not. I shortchange myself on sleep, and I definitely shortchange myself on having a social life. I read a lot of Goodnight Moon. That's how I spend my time. I'm not sure if we fake it till we make it, or if we're actually just doing what we can and we just keep learning the rest. I have a new career, but I've also changed as a person. I am way more likely to ask for help, but I'm also way more likely to offer help, even if I haven't been asked. And not because I should, but because I can. I love connecting with people, but even more, I love connecting people together. I love connecting them together for connections. I love connecting them with opportunities. I'm more likely to take a deep breath and put myself out there in person or online because I've tried it and I'm reminded that really we're all the same. I've learned things about my life and about myself. Luck is for lotteries in my world. Most everything else is about having a plan, doing the work, and being ready for those opportunities when they arise. I used to think that it was lucky that I lost my job in August. School was just about to go back. Over time, I've realized it took a lot more than luck to get me out of bed the next morning, much less get me back to school. Waiting for the next great thing doesn't work, and we heard that from some of our earlier speakers. I believe that if opportunity knocks, you can't just open the door. You have to have the kettle on, you have to have some cookies on a platter. You need to be knocking on your own doors. Opportunities are shared, they're not given. And should Oprah ever come knocking on my door, this is what I know for sure. I'm not there yet, and that's okay. I'm not entirely sure what there is. Life is little bits and pieces that join together to make a bigger story. I don't know my final destination, but what I know is that I've done the homework and I will be ready for the next step.